A handsome young man had just entered and was standing at the door. He was accompanied by a woman of dazzling beauty. Hairstyle, dress, jewelry. On the other side, he was accompanied by something unkempt with a rope around its neck. People said that a man 5 years ago spent all his savings on his beautiful wife, that he did not let his wife go outside, that he is simply obsessed with his wife. Others said that he quickly became bored with his wife, and now I liked another girl. And when he was drunk, he yelled that he wanted to get rid of his wife. Today, a man decided to sell his once beloved and now so hated wife. For Joseph, a wife was just a thing. He paid for it like property taxes are paid. Divorce was too expensive. He wasn't rich. Selling his wife was the only way to get rid of her. When a contract was concluded and the agreed amount was paid, the wife became the property of another person. Bidding has been announced. Joseph quoted a ridiculously low starting bid. 10 rain. The rate grew quickly. 20, 25, 50, 60, 100, 190, 200, 210, 220. The beauty hugged Joseph. He was glad that today he would sell his wife and also earn good money. 300. Joseph guaranteed the buyer that the woman was obedient. And if something goes wrong, you can always insist on your own in any way. The man explained to the buyer that everything needed to be explained to her correctly, that she will be more obedient this way. And if he doesn't like the ugly girl, then he can simply not look at her. The woman's fat buyer has already paid. The purchase and sale transaction at the auction was completed. But then a voice sounded. The voice belonged to the hooded person. He offered to give $5,000 for a woman. The fat customer was furious. He said that none of those present at the auction were so rich. The stranger offered an impressive bar of gold. Joseph was well aware that such a piece of gold was worth much more than the stated purchase price of his wife. All that remains is to sign the purchase and sale agreement. Joseph immediately and joyfully signed the paper. The job was done. The hooded stranger invited the woman he had bought to go with him. Even from under the hood, it was clear that he was young and handsome. A little further from the auction site, a luxurious and spacious carriage was waiting for them. She was guarded by knights in armor. The young and rich buyer first untied the rope around the neck of the woman he bought. The man took off his hood. Young, blue-eyed blonde introduced himself. His name was Ash Vrinicle. He extended his hand. The girl was confused. Her back was bent. The hands also expressed uncertainty and fear. With a very long pause, she extended her hand back and answered, "Chloe." They were riding in a carriage. How much, the woman could not say for sure. It seems she dozed off a little on the way. The estate of Marquis Vrinicles looked fabulously beautiful. The girl looked at the unfamiliar ceiling, the most beautiful room. She only remembered the way here. She didn't remember any further. Maybe she just fell asleep or fainted. The maid arrived. Betsy introduced herself. She said that she would help Chloe get ready. Betsy said she would always be there, and you can call her or someone else by pulling the bell. Betsy offered to help the woman get herself in order. Chloe returned very late last night after falling asleep in the carriage. The maid was horrified by the bruises and scars on the girls' bodies. She understood that the bruises would go away, but the scars will remain forever, reminding us of the past. Betsy invited Chloe to take a bath. To make it faster, the fatigue went away when she warmed up. The water in the bathroom smelled nice. Flower petals floated in the water. The girl remembered how terribly her husband treated her. When she went to a neighbor's house to borrow a sewing needle, he called her a whore, that she went to seduce her neighbor. The husband led Chloe into the water of the lake. He threatened to drown his wife. He made her beg for mercy. The girl couldn't make up her mind. She hesitated. Betsy suggested that Chloe quickly go to the bathroom so as not to freeze. As a result, she lost consciousness. Betsy went to talk to the Marquis. She said that the lady slept well, that she was afraid of the knock on the door, and her whole body is covered in bruises, that Chloe passed out, and the doctor examined her, and then she fell asleep again. Ash understood that such a sudden change in environment was stressful for Chloe, but perhaps there is another explanation for her poor health. He understood that the bruises and scars were the work of that bastard, and they probably scared her so much that now she's afraid of the bathroom. Ash asked the maid if Chloe was still sleeping. He decided to check on her. Ash decided not to mess with that freak for now. He wanted the girl to decide everything herself. The Marquis looked at her sleeping. He noticed how thin she was. "And I decided to start with food. Think through the menu in detail." Ash gently called the woman's name. Chloe opened her eyes. The Marquis told her that even beauties like her should not sleep so long. The girls even had hair falling onto their faces. Ash asked if he could fix them. She was silent. He asked me to say okay or I don't want to, that everything was not so complicated. He said that there is only her decision, her thoughts and will. Chloe replied that she would respect any decision he made. He repeated his question. The girl nodded. She realized that she could completely control her body. Chloe was sitting in a beautiful dress. Her hair was combed and styled. In front of her was a generously laid table. Ash complimented the girl. He appreciated her hairstyle. The Marquis suggested we start eating. He advised the woman to eat more. Chloe thought the Marquis was strange. By buying it, he was able to get some benefit for himself. But what? What did he want from her? Ash suggested that the girl dip the bread into the soup. He claimed that it would actually taste better this way. Chloe was surprised. Why is she so calm here? It's probably because Joseph won't show up here. Joseph's status would not allow such an estate. The maids bowed to the master. The girl dropped her fork. She was endlessly confused. She asked her to forgive her for the awkwardness. The girl was afraid again. Ash said that this happens to him too. And as if by accident he dropped his fork. He picked up a spoon. He said that it happens more than once. Dropped the spoon. Chloe was surprised. Ash said that after the third time it was hard to call it a mistake. The Marquis claimed that he understood why this happened. It's just fatigue and feeling unwell. He asked the maid Alicia to bring clean utensils. For myself and for Chloe. Ash revealed that Alicia is the head maid. Ash said that you can contact Alicia if there are problems with other servants. Alicia said she was glad to meet Madame. The girl was surprised by this treatment. The Marquis asked Chloe to eat first, and then introduce yourself. But if she doesn't want to eat, there is no need to force herself. He said that she was free in her choice. The girl started with baking. She looked quite attractive. She had never eaten such yummy food in her life. The man said he had entered into a legally binding contract, and now Chloe is his legal wife. The girl was not engaged to her ex-husband and was legally unmarried. But the bastard could do anything, and it was necessary to sort this out quickly. Chloe agreed. Ash said that if she doesn't want to be his wife, he can't change anything yet. The Marquis said that now Chloe is the wife of the Marquis of Renical, which means she became an aristocrat. She didn't make the decision to become his wife. Therefore, Ash gave her the right to choose what she wanted to do next. He offered Chloe two options to choose from. The first is if she doesn't want anything. It is not necessary to go out into secular society and fulfill the duties of a spouse. Good clothes, servants, and surroundings are what she deserves. The second option was more difficult. We'll have to learn everything the Marquis needs to know. He suggested various teachers. He will need to attend social events, go to meetings with people. It won't work to sit at home anymore. The Marquis said that not everyone would be kind to her. Perhaps someone will want to humiliate her or use her for low purposes. Ash promised that studying would be hard, and problems could arise, that you want to leave everything to the mercy of fate. But you still have to decide everything. Marquis asked what Chloe chooses, first option or second. The girl looked at the man. She wondered what he was thinking about. She didn't understand why he was so kind to her. She replied that she wanted to take responsibility, but she wouldn't want to worry about what she's not interested in. She would like to choose something in between the two options. Ash was surprised. It turned out that his wife was more greedy than he thought. But that's a good thing. He said that Chloe is the wife of the Marquis and can enjoy these. The Marquis suggested inviting all the teachers first. He warned that if it was difficult for her, or she could not find a common language with the teacher, he would help fix it. The girl spent several days in bed. She was recovering from the brutality she had suffered earlier. But time passed. Everything fell into place. The Marquis had to leave early today, and the maid brought gifts from him to Chloe. Betsy invited the lady to open the boxes, and she agreed. The maid noticed a change in Chloe's voice, so she was getting better. There was a beautiful soft bear in the box. The maid invited the girl to hug the toy. It was so nice. Chloe liked the toy's cute face, and when she pressed her to herself, it seemed to her that someone soft was hugging her. He reminded her of a teddy bear from her childhood. The toy was just like in her childhood. Bo. The left corner of the mouth is higher than the right, only there was no pocket behind the ear. She used it as a child to exchange notes with her friend. This was their secret. Chloe remembered her childhood, how they ran and their skirts fluttered. how they looked for ribbons for each other. This was her happiest time. Thanks to the bear, the girl remembered such pleasant days of childhood. That was enough for her. She didn't know anything then. The maid knew that the bear was made to special order. She expected a huge diamond to be attached to it. The Marquis was very insightful, and Chloe really liked the gift. Betsy invited the lady to explore the house if it was not too difficult for her. Chloe assured that everything was fine. The maid showed the girl the door, and she said that you can visit all the rooms except for the one behind the door. Only the gentleman could enter there. That was the order. The maid did not say that she was cleaning that room. After all, Madame could ask what was behind the door. The order with the door reminded Chloe of the fairy tale about Bluebeard. She promised to remember the forbidden door and not go there. Neither exploration of the estate took the whole day. The girl was told that there was a forest and a lake on the territory, but the journey there by carriage will take about an hour. Chloe hasn't walked this much for a long time. Now that she was free, everything felt completely different. I wasn't in a good mood. Ash saw the girl hugging the bear. He was glad that his gift was liked so much. Chloe greeted the Marquis. She was told that he was away on business. Ash greeted back. He finished earlier than expected. The girl thanked him for the gift. Ash told her to ask him if she needed anything. Chloe replied that that was enough for her. The Marquis said that there are those who did not have a happy childhood, but he saw that the girl was happier before. Chloe agreed with the Marquis that she was happy as a child. When she had a similar teddy bear, she was the happiest child. She asked the Marquis if his parents gave him this bear. He replied that they had not given him anything like this, because he was a man. Ash asked if Chloe liked the manor. She said it was beautiful and majestic. The Marquis wondered when the girl would be ready to accept teachers. She promised it would be tomorrow. The man replied that invitations should be sent now. He suggested making a plan together so Chloe wouldn't overwork herself. Young woman, I asked to start by calling only female teachers. She was scared. Ash agreed with this rule. Ash claimed that Chloe looked absolutely beautiful, although he and the rest of the male servants live at the estate. And the girl agreed. Since the men will be from the subordinates of the Marquis and he himself, she was surprised where she had such faith. The Marquis asked him not to explain himself. He assured that everything was fine. And most importantly, Chloe feels great. He argued that everyone has different characters, both men and women, that there are both bad and good. The girl thought about it. Then what kind of Marquis Ash Vrinicle? Can she trust him? The next day the teacher arrived. She introduced herself as Elowen Hosvid. She taught etiquette. And she suggested that Chloe feel free to ask questions as the training progressed. The next one introduced herself as Melissa Ayton. She said that with the help of books you can cause a storm of emotions, and she would like to share this with Chloe. Kay Ader in Labaron said that her father only the Viscount, but she would like to be friends with Chloe. On the first day, the teachers just introduced themselves and left. Betsy considered the Marquis very meticulous. One teacher was a famous countess, the other only in narrow circles. She argued that teachers would be able to support Chloe in a secular society. The girl understood what was going on and how wisely Ash was acting. Before that, she had not communicated with people for 3 years. Her parents were representatives of the middle class, had their own business, lived in prosperity, although they could not be called aristocrats. As a girl, she believed then that she would be free forever. But her parents were killed by bandits. Betsy called Madame to have a look. The Marquis sent her many new things as gifts. He thought that what had been prepared before would not be enough. Dresses, shoes, jewelry. The maid offered to try them on. She asked where Chloe wanted to start. Chloe liked the yellow dress. Betsy said any color would suit the lady's fair skin. The maid confirmed that the dress fit the lady very well. The Marquis had good taste. The girl pinned the most delicate decorations in the form of flowers into her hair. She agreed that Ash had really good taste, and in a chic dress, after trying on the jewelry, she became even more beautiful than she was. Everyone was smiling that day too. She and her parents. Before her mother died, Chloe also wore a yellow dress. She chose him one last time. Ash had his hands full. He returned only in the morning, tired but glad to be home. Previously, the Marquis did not have much to do, and he came to Chloe several times a day, and she got used to it. But now he was always busy, and she was already accustomed to his visits. For a girl, men have always been incomprehensible. So Ash also seemed somehow incomprehensible. Before, she didn't even suspect that she was being taken advantage of. But now she has found freedom. and she realized how easy it was to manipulate her. When her parents died, a neighbor couple came to pay off their debts. They said that the parents' business had failed. This meant that Chloe would live in an orphanage, caring for other children. While she was suffering at work, that married couple never took an interest in the girl's life. One day she saw them from a distance. They were richer than last time. The director of the shelter constantly talked about how men treated women outside the shelter. Chloe, overcome with fear, stopped going outside. Instead, she began to do even more dirty, thankless work. The girl asked the director about money for her work, but she was told that staying in a shelter was expensive, and she wasn't paid for her work. The headmistress also forbade Chloe from wearing jewelry so as not to attract men. After all, it's dangerous, and she herself wore rather extravagant clothes. The director, choosing the best clothes, called the girl, and then I was happy when I compared myself with her. Trouble happened when a child under the girl's care fell ill. The shelter became poor. Chloe was given to a wealthy sponsor. The girl prayed for the child's health. Then she ended up with Joseph, who was 15 years older than her. Chloe was remembering the past. She saw more and more clearly the reason for the misfortunes that had happened to her. The ill-mannered fool made the wrong choice. Ash called her name. Lost in thought, she hid her head in her shoulders. The Marquise was worried about what happened to the girl. What was she thinking about? Ash complimented the girl's dress, said the purple dress suited her skin and eyes perfectly. Chloe thanked her. The Marquis asked if she liked the clothes he had chosen. The Marquis asked if it was true that she liked that yellow dress. Ash suggested visiting a clothing store together in the future. And you don't have to buy anything. You can just look to understand its taste. The Marquis suggested taking measurements of her figure, and also invite a designer. He reminded her that all this was necessary if she wanted it. Chloe asked if she could do that. Ash claimed that she was his dear wife, and he reminded that she was an aristocrat. Aristocrats sometimes spend all their money on dresses and accessories. Ash suggested that Chloe do the same sometimes, and don't pay attention to anyone. The Marquis asked if the girl had any questions for him. She wondered why he bought it. She thought about it constantly. But I was afraid to find out the truth. The next day, Elaine Hayswade came to see Chloe. There was an etiquette lesson to come. The teacher said that remaining silent is not a wrong choice, but it was better to express my opinion when necessary. That sometimes silence can lead to some misunderstandings. The teacher was sure that this was not the first time for Chloe to have such lessons. Therefore, from the next lesson, she promised to move to a more difficult level. Chloe has studied this level of etiquette since she was a child, and only now she realized that she still had a lot to learn. Melissa Anton taught history classes. She was interested in how previous classes with other teachers had gone. The girl assured her that she liked everything. The teacher sighed with relief and smiled. Melissa asked who Chloe learned to write like that from. She assured that many young aristocrats did not know Harriosh so well. The teacher expressed the opinion that her parents cared seriously about her education. In the Empire, one language was used for oral speech and two for writing. Melissa asked Chloe to let her know if the pace of learning was uncomfortable. She said that she was not smart enough to understand an opinion from a person's facial expression. When the teacher found out that the girl had liked books since childhood, she was very happy. She was sure that the love of books remains at any age. Melissa said that books remain the same, and especially the library of the Marquis Viv of Rinical. She was wonderful. The Marquise's library was famous for containing many valuable books. Melissa asked Chloe if she had been to the library in Brinical. The teacher suggested visiting the Marquise's library together. She suggested reading books to find your favorite one. The girl was pleased to look at the teacher when she sincerely liked something. Her world was limited to a tiny place, but it increased when she met new people. The next lesson was dancing. New emotions again, new feelings, new interesting personality. Betsy was my dance partner. The teacher asked if Chloe liked the lesson. The dance teacher was glad that the girl liked the lesson. And since they still had a little time left, she suggested they chat a little. The Marquise was known as unapproachable in circles among high society girls. The dance teacher asked her how she seduced him. The teacher believed that she simply had to find out the secret method. She wanted to learn how to seduce unapproachable men of high society. Chloe didn't quite understand what the teacher meant. She replied that there was no secret way. Katerina suggested that maybe Chloe's modesty and beauty did not give the Marquis a chance to resist. She also asked when their wedding was. Betsy caught herself that somehow she had not thought about the issue of marriage. She answered for Mrs. that his lordship is gradually preparing for the celebration. The final date has not yet been set. The teacher claimed that the Marquise had a very calm character. Oh, she always looks so serious. The invited chattering teacher said that on the street she saw a saleswoman, a girl in shabby clothes who reminded her of Chloe. And I decided to buy a bouquet from her, really hoping that the Marquise will like this one. The guest said that she herself likes flowers, but she has a lot of them at home. Therefore, I asked permission to give this bouquet to the Marquise. Chloe looked at the flowers in shock. She remembered the horrors of her past life. One day Joseph was drunk and beat her. That day he bought a small, rough bunch of flowers as an apology. Then Joseph said that life had become difficult, and that was the reason to beat Chloe. Chloe understood that this bouquet had nothing to do with her past. Therefore, I gladly accepted the flowers. Katerina did not understand for herself what was happening to Chloe. She saw that the rumors were true. Chloe is incredibly beautiful, but she was just a dummy. In high society, the teacher had no equal in dancing and playing the piano, so she pestered her father to begin teaching the Marquise. But she felt as if she were working with an insensitive doll. The teacher considered Chloe an insignificant girl, not a match for the Marquis. Over the entire 200 years of the empire's existence, there were only 5 noble families. Among them was the name of the Marquis, founders and blood relatives of the emperor. The position and capabilities of the Marquis were sky-high. The Vrinnicles did not show their children to society until they became mature. Li was the only one who was able to study what was necessary to inherit the title. She was able to go out for the first time at the planned age. But the Marquis couple died 10 years ago during an epidemic. Ash then said that he would pursue an education to become worthy of inheriting the title. Aristocrats with daughters who had reached marriageable age were envied. There were also those who had not reached marriageable age, whom they tried to marry off to the Marquis. The teacher realized that Chloe was good at dancing, even though it was her first class. But she doubted that the Marquise even knew how to write. She was angry that the Marquise ignored her after giving her a bouquet of flowers. She bought the bouquet on purpose, and she personally wrapped the armful in a bouquet. Katerina considered the Marquise's beauty unimportant. She believed that her student was no different from a flower seller girl. The envious woman thought Chloe was just a stupid girl who didn't understand how lucky she was. She realized that Chloe was beautiful, but otherwise she considered her a complete non-entity. The teacher was also popular with men. She was beautiful, educated, and from a family with a good reputation. I thought she was better than that idiot Chloe. She believed that Ash Vrinnik was not like other men. He didn't pretend to be smart, but he did not forget about responsibility for his position. The dance teacher believed that she should have become the Marquise. It would be better that way, and she will not give up on her plan. The days passed quickly. Every day the girl was busy with homework, and in the evenings she repeated them on her own. Chloe met many more people at the estate than she had in the last 3 years. Everyone was polite and courteous to her. She was surrounded by attention and care. She had a vague idea that this was exactly the life she was living, and the memories of the past are not true. A dream, a terrible fiction. Chloe read recommended books for study. She drew attention to the bouquet of flowers. I was wondering if I should put them in a vase. Betsy offered to help with the bouquet, but the girl asked to leave the flowers where they were. She couldn't understand why she felt uneasy when she saw those flowers. The girl was so lost in thought that she did not notice Ash enter. He praised her for her diligence and effort in her studies. Ash argued that it was okay to net from time to time. Chloe replied that she herself showed a desire to learn. Therefore, it simply cannot do otherwise. She caught herself changing her feelings. She no longer felt awkward when interacting with this man. Ash remained calm even if the girl was silent or stuttered. He didn't get angry, didn't scold her or question her. Chloe was afraid that if Ash stopped coming to her, she would feel empty. The Marquis drew attention to the bouquet. He wondered who these flowers were from. She said Miss Catherine Laveround brought them. Chloe explained how it all happened. What the flower seller girl reminded teacher Chloe. That's why I decided to give this bouquet to the Marquise. Ash asked if she liked the bouquet. He asked for an answer without relying on the feelings or kindness of others, only based on your opinion. The girl replied that she did not like flowers, that they bring back bad memories for her. Ash asked if she herself sold flowers on the street. Chloe responded in the negative. She became all tense. The Marquis noticed this. He said it's okay to say what you want to say, and that he wants to hear everything that she wants to tell. The girl said that her previous husband gave her flowers every time I beat her. Ash opened the window. With his help, the bouquet flew out the window like a bird. The Marquis continued the conversation. He said that no matter how expensive the thing was, if it brings up unpleasant memories, that's bad. Chloe said her memories are blurry, that her husband beat her, then fell asleep, then worked. This happened many times. Ash was asking the girl when her husband started beating her. Chloe said that from the very beginning, she began to live with him. Ash changed his expression. The girl already regretted her confession. She was afraid that the Marquis would despise her for her past. Maybe she shouldn't tell him everything? The Marquis began to apologize for stirring up the past, that he asked Chloe about painful memories. The man said that he knew so little about her, and he had no choice but to question her personally. He also offered to talk to him, so that she doesn't feel embarrassed. He thought it was normal if the words were jumbled or she couldn't find them at all. The Marquis allowed people to scream or get angry for no reason. He knew that Chloe was upset and depressed about her illnesses and memories. He was grateful that she trusted him. He looked at her with all sincerity. Chloe said she wasn't upset, that she was beaten for what she deserved. Ash was amazed by what he heard. The girl was beaten for her excessive appetite. Her ex-husband beat her for incontinence in food. Chloe said there were many reasons. She moved slowly. She was indifferent when she asked for money to buy bread. She beat me for suddenly falling asleep, although she had a lot of things to do. Therefore, she believed that she herself was to blame for her troubles. The girl said that if she had not thought in this way, she would not have been able to bear all that. She realized that she had made a mistake, and she was too stupid. She thought it was only her fault. Ash convinced Chloe otherwise. He believed that a normal person would not hit a woman for something like that. He asked the girl, would she hit a child for false reasons? She answered negatively, but Chloe was sure that she really made mistakes then. The Marquis convinced the girl that she had not made mistakes, especially considering that they were husband and wife back then. Ash assured her that people often make small mistakes in life, and these are not called mistakes. He said that the ex was trying to satisfy himself at her expense. Chloe was surprised by the Marquis's explanation. He said that Chloe did the wrong thing back then. The girl admitted that she was in a lot of pain. At such moments, she wanted to never experience such a feeling again in her life. She wanted to live happily, be in love to be loved. Just like in ancient times when I lived happily and carefree. Chloe admitted that she wanted to cry for so long. She wanted to escape from the man who tormented her so much. And I wanted to be happy. Ash cried too. The girl was upset and surprised that he was crying because of her. He said she could cry as much as she wanted. The etiquette lesson was about to begin. The teacher praised Chloe for her diligence. She said that her diligent student prepared with all her heart. The teacher spoke about modern traditions, about the importance of details that are usually ignored. She liked that Chloe asked questions, and the girl said that she was just a good teacher. Elaine noticed that her student no longer stammered or mumbled. Therefore, I began to answer questions normally. The teacher found out that the girl's inability to communicate was caused by prolonged psychological abuse. Elaine claimed that Chloe looks much more beautiful when she smiles. The girl was wondering if she should smile when she goes out into the world. The teacher did not answer clearly, but she said an indifferent facial expression could put people off guard. The girl learned her lesson. Elaine asked how old Chloe was. She replied that she was 25. Elaine tried to figure it out. Uncommunicative, but not lazy or arrogant. Doesn't try to hide behind a mask. Compassionate heart. The teacher believed that if she was not mistaken, then Chloe would go out into the world. And she promised herself that she would help the girl if necessary. Betsy was surprised that Madame was still sleeping. The maid noticed for herself that beautiful people remain beautiful in their dreams. She was pleased with herself that she had prepared a large pillow. She fell in love with the Marquise, that when faced with difficulties, she did not become angry towards others. The maid realized that she could not move Madame to another place herself, and she realized that she would have to wake up Mistress Chloe. The Marquis entered. He asked for silence. Ash carefully picked Chloe up and carried her to the bedroom. Chloe opened her sleepy eyes. He suggested that she sleep a little more. At first, the Marquis was happy to simply bring Chloe. It was not so easy to find a deliberately hidden person. He had a lead that led to that bar. When the old door opened, he saw her and could not even breathe. Her skin looked terrible due to the mistreatment. All Ash wanted at that moment was to strangle the insignificant person and take Chloe with him. Ash wished he had found her sooner. He regretted that he had not become a Marquis a little earlier. He wouldn't have to see Chloe like this. But now he could see her smile. Now she could smile like that time. He was sure to help her. The girl dreamed of her piano. Red Fat Cat. Mom and Dad are nearby. They read a book to her. A friend came in, they are together again. The teacher came to the marquee. She said that today's lesson would be about finding a suitable book. She argued that the Marquise's library was just the perfect place for this. She was fascinated by this library. Miss Matilda thought Chloe was becoming better at speaking, and she was surprised that she and Chloe could do this thanks to their classes. The teacher did not consider herself a good teacher. She loved to read, but she could not refuse the Marquise's request, since his conditions were too good. His lordship promised to show Miss Matilda a place hidden from other people. Once upon a time she was writing a dissertation, and the Marquise's personal documents helped her a lot. Chloe saw the happiness on the teacher's face. For the first time, she saw a happy person busy with his hobby. The girl decided to support a pleasant topic. She expressed the opinion that it was wonderful to write a dissertation, that it's interesting to study someone's major. Miss Matilda praised Chloe for her progress. After all, at first she thought that the girl simply did not want to learn from her. The teacher noticed that her student was thinking again. The girl stood in front of a series of books in 6 volumes from the Marquise's collection. The girl picked up one of the books. It was a book about a girl growing up who especially loved ribbons. It was a story about love and friendship. Chloe really liked her in the past. Miss Matilda suggested that the girl like this book. The teacher told the girl that she also liked this book as a child. She read it many times as a child. And I cried while reading the last volume of this series. Chloe replied that she had only read up to chapter 5. Whenever a new book came out, she would run to the bookstore to buy the book in person. An unpredictable man, Chloe's ex-husband, was an opponent of the book in this series. He didn't understand her. It seemed like the villain in the book knew more than the villain in reality. Miss Matilda promised to keep the plot of the book secret. She knew that every time you turn the page of a book, you anticipate a new turn of events. The teacher clarified whether this is the book her student wants to read today. Chloe confirmed yes. Chloe was glad that she was able to find another valuable memory from the past. Although it was just a book, the girl had fun reading the book after such a long absence. Betsy reminded her that it was time to rest. But who didn't listen to her? She read until late at night, until she fell asleep. In the morning, Betty told Chloe that she should get some more rest. But the lady believed that she had plenty of other things to do. Today, the girl had an activity that she didn't like a little: horse riding, playing piano, and dancing. She used to attend similar classes as a child, and there was no lack of knowledge. A young teacher told me that horses feel fear, and this can be dangerous for the rider. Chloe wasn't afraid of horses, but after all this time of training, she never started horse riding. Miss Levieren assured her student that she should not lie to herself. After all, we are talking about dangerous things, even if you want to try everything at once. After all, Madame is no longer a child who will take risks out of curiosity. She didn't want to put Chloe in danger, but Chloe loved horses. Later, another teacher will check with the girl the safety of the horse, and after the lesson, he will even try it on the hippodrome. Everything happened with the permission of his lordship. He gave the mentors some freedom on the territory of the mansion. The young teacher reasoned that the land was huge, possibly thousands of acres. But she realized that Chloe might not know the units of measurement and apologized for her rudeness. She tried to explain to the girl that this was somewhere like a village of commoners, like the village where she probably grew up. The funny thing was that the teacher spoke about such a topic only in private. She always tried to talk about topics in which she was strong. Chloe wondered, for what purpose did this young lady come to the mansion? What, to be her teacher, or watch her engagement to the Marquis? Miss Levieren never really started teaching the girl anything. Basically, she showed how to do it correctly using her own example. Piano lessons also ended at the initial stage, as if the teacher's knowledge was limited only at this level. The teacher noticed that Chloe looked tired. The girl replied that she had been reading a book until late at night. The young mentor assured her student that she should not read until late out of habit. After all, those who have seen a lot before can read it without any problems. The Marquise should take care of her pretty face. The teacher was interested in what Chloe was reading. She answered that it was the series Girl with a Yellow Ribbon. There was a suppressed chuckle in response. She said that the book was intended for children. It's certainly interesting to read, but the Marquise needs to strive for a higher level. Miss Levieren said that commoners and nobles are two different worlds. That in life you need to be stricter and more demanding of yourself. She said that Chloe could no longer think the same way. That she should learn to do this. The Marquise noticed that the teacher was crossing the line more and more, but she preferred to remain silent for now. She respected Ash's choice and did not want to upset him and burden him with her unpleasant feelings from this person. The teacher referred to her knowledge base, and she suggested that the Marquise follow her advice exactly. She asked if Chloe could read letters. It has been said that the language of the empire is complex. She gladly offered to help. The young upstart teacher continued. She suggested the girl should start with fairy tales with pictures. I agreed to recommend a couple of good books for her. The envious woman was surprised by the expression on Chloe's face. She was glad that her student did not even understand how she had been insulted. Meanwhile, the Marquise could barely contain herself. She was overwhelmed with emotions, but she did not give vent to her feelings. Marquis Ash entered. He said Chloe had a talent for learning, that Count Laviren convinced him of his daughter's teaching abilities. The teacher was scared. After all, she didn't know what the Marquise could hear. I couldn't know how long he stood outside the door. She responded kindly to the Marquise's address. She assured that she could have prepared better if she knew that he would personally come to see how the classes were going. Catherine Laviren knew that the Marquise did not attend classes, and then he gives compliments. This was a great chance to leave a good impression. It dawned on her. Perhaps the Marquise came to see her. Katerina imagined herself to be a lady who was much smarter than the idiot Marquise, and she knew how to behave in society. She was willing to bet that she could please the Marquis. She also admitted to herself that she liked his lordship. How could they say that their feelings were mutual? The Marquise began politely. That Miss Laviren has the honor of teaching his wife, and judging by the humiliating way of teaching, she decided that she was superior to the Marquise. Katerina realized that he heard absolutely everything. She asked her to forgive her. She said she was too eccentric, that I made a mistake. She called for mercy and understanding. Ash replied that he was not the one to apologize to. He said that forgiveness should be sought from his dear wife. Miss Catherine Laviren was surprised. She didn't understand what kind of insensitive person was in front of her. The Marquis Vinical she knew was always kind. It was warm like sunlight. He addressed himself as my lady. She didn't know him from that side. Katerina believed that she had done nothing wrong, and she did not consider it necessary to bow her head to Chloe. Miss Laviren apologized to the Marquise, stuttering. She asked me to forgive her carelessness, that she had overstepped her bounds and lost her composure. Ash asked Chloe what to do. Should they forgive her? Katerina could not understand why the Marquise spoke to her in one tone, and to Chloe in a different tone. Why did he behave differently with this girl? She hoped that if he realized that Chloe's head and heart were completely empty, he will get tired of her and will soon leave her. And Katerina decided to wait. Chloe said that she did not understand why she should forgive the rude woman for her impudent statements. Katerina thought differently, but she answered meekly and politely. But under other circumstances, she would have kicked her student while she silently begged for forgiveness. Chloe asked what Katerina did wrong. She began to stutter. She thought that the girl still did not understand that she was insulted. Therefore, I decided to play on the Marquise's feelings and get away with it. All you had to do was act like an idiot towards the Marquis. Katerina justified herself. She said she was worried about the Marquise. She explained everything to her gradually, but the Marquise mocked her and ignored her. Chloe replied that this is not the first time this has happened, and in all previous classes they spoke to her in a similar tone. But everything changed as soon as someone else appeared nearby. Ash asked if Katerina sincerely apologized and asked for forgiveness. She replied that she was really worried about her ladyship. Miss Katerina said that she wanted to help the girl gain experience, to show what society is capable of, to show itself from the bad side. Chloe said that Katerina looked down on her. I felt superior, and that she still doesn't feel sorry for what she did. Katerina was sure that she would be forgiven, but the girl replied that she did not want to forgive this man. Chloe believed that if it was easy to forgive her, she will think that she can again behave the way she wants. Katerina convinced the Marquise that she could not treat a person like that because of one mistake. Chloe claimed that this is not the first time this has happened, that she simply ignored her. Miss Laviren said she was sorry, that she really did everything for the sake of her ladyship the Marchioness. In Clarathia Volume 1, a book about music for children, which the girl read when she was 8 years old, it was written how to play the piano. Chloe was surprised that the teacher did not name her any other textbooks for learning to play the piano. Chloe said that she knew of 5 more books by Clorathea. Katerina claimed that she wanted the Marquise to learn to play just perfectly before moving on. Chloe said that she could have finished the first book, and they haven't even made it through 10 chapters. Katerina said that the Marquise was shirking, and the girl was sure that the teacher herself did not know how to play beyond the first volume. Chloe claimed that she did this for Katerina's benefit, and that she should forgive her for this. Katerina laughed. Ash said he heard the yard dog laughing, and he even considered the laughter of a yard dog a luxury for her. The Marquis thought that Miss Leverin behaved very rudely. She assured his lordship that this was a misunderstanding. He replied that he himself decides what is a misunderstanding and what is not, that he has the right to decide for himself what is and what is not. Ash asked to give it to his father, that the Marquis would have to negotiate the Alteran deal with another family, and when his father asks about the reason, Ash asked to name Katerina's disrespect for the Marquise. The Marquis asked me to tell my father that his daughter was fired today from her position as a private teacher. Katerina believed that he had no right to insult her like that. Ash replied that Katerina allowed herself to insult Marquise Chloe Vinical. Then he also has the right in return, that he values the honor of the Marquise, and she insulted her with her behavior. The Marquis asked Miss Leviron to leave the room while he could still control himself, but he warned for the future that from now on one warning will not do. Miss Catherine Laverin sincerely asked his lordship to forgive her. She begged. She asked please. She said that her youth and naivety were the reason for her incontinence. Ash asked the guards to throw the impudent man out of here. She begged and pleaded, but Ash was firm and adamant in his decision. Chloe hasn't expressed her opinion in 10 years. She expressed her opinions clearly and firmly, but she hasn't forgotten what it's like. Ash took her hands. He supported her completely, and I was glad that she handled the situation. She thanked the Marquise for his help and support. He replied that there was no need to thank him. He said he was happy when she was brave. She bravely answered the impudent teacher, that Chloe can continue to express herself. Say what you want. Chloe noted to herself that Ash did not treat her like others. With her, he was a completely different person. The Marquis said that in the future she would meet such people again. He is sure that there will be a lot of them, that there are those who don't know what they're talking about, those who mock others excessively, and those who make things that do not belong to them their own. Even those who like to ruin everything for others for no reason. He said that for such kind, Chloe would look like an easy prey. He regretted that this was the reality. Ash said that as long as she was in this world, she would have to face people like this. After the death of their parents, their friends came. They said Chloe could take care of herself. The manager of the orphanage gave Chloe a room, and it wasn't the girl who shoved all the work, without paying anything for labor. Chloe was stupidly naive, and she was forced to marry Joseph. She felt that freedom was becoming less and less. This was a real fear for any person. Then everything changed. But in practice it remained as bad as before. Even worse. Now she couldn't even say anything. Chloe liked the current situation much better. Lady Catherine did not admit her guilt, but she might regret it in the future. At first the girl even wanted to accept the apology. She asked the Marquis if something like this had ever happened to him. Ash asked Chloe if everything was okay. But does it hurt her? He said he thought she was cute. He was surprised that after everything she had been through, the girl could still care about others. Chloe replied that it was because Ash saved her. Even despite his condition, he condescended to her and saved her. She thanked him for always being kind to her, and that she didn't want him to get hurt. Ash was surprised by Chloe's kindness. It seems he underestimated the amount of kindness that was in the girl. The Marquis asked the girl. She would have hugged him if he had said he was in pain. Seeing the surprise on his face, he said that if he didn't want to, then he didn't have to. No one but Joseph hugged her. His hands were very rough, like a pressing wall. Memories of those times made the girl feel bad. Nevertheless, she didn't dislike hugs from Ash, but she didn't like them either. The Marquis always thinks about her. He asks if everything is okay. Chloe understood that Ash was a different person. She wasn't afraid of him. The Marquis hugged the girl to calm down, but it looked like they were calming her down. He said that the warmth of the human body is calming. Our heroine felt nervous, something warm and indescribable. The girl asked what this feeling was. The Marquis asked to trust him a little more. He touched her hair gently. He stroked his head. She liked it. She pressed her whole body against him. Harsh conditions could easily change a person. There are many cases where good people, having experienced adversity, could radically change for the worse. She asked if the Marquis's heart hurt. The heroine did not quite understand what she was trying to express with these words. Her emotionless face seemed to glow a little, and her barely noticeable smile had the power to change people. She slept and faded away, although these feelings seemed forgotten. The Chloe he knew a long time ago was still hiding inside. Ash thought about it. The Marquis believed that he who was more accustomed to pain would have endured this. Even he would suffer worse than loneliness. He could not understand how a girl with such a kind heart could endure all that cruelty. When he found out that Chloe was married, he decided that he would not even try to win her heart. He could help the girl from the shadows, but her marriage was not about happiness. The husband did not consider Chloe to be a person. Ash was going to get rid of everyone who was responsible for her misfortune. But first, the Marquis wanted to give the girl a choice. After all, people could sincerely ask Chloe for forgiveness, and perhaps by forgiving them, the girl would have found peace of mind. The Marquis considered the incident a coincidence, and I decided to put it off for later. But he promised himself that this was an isolated case when he turned a blind eye to something like this. But Ash promised himself, what if the girl comes to him again and asks him to get rid of someone? He will undoubtedly show all the cruelty. It doesn't matter how long it takes. No matter what, he will love her all his life. Joseph was sitting at the bar. He just finished his alcohol. The man was surprised that just a couple of days ago he was glad that he sold his wife and received a lot of money. And now he only has a couple of coins left. Yes, money comes and goes easily. After receiving a lot of money, Joseph bought a big house. He started gambling big. He won a lot at first. But then the money began to disappear at breakneck speed. He thought he had caught his luck by the tail when he won a whole mountain from a couple of coins. And in the end, I lost everything. He was on the verge of foreclosure on his house. His current woman asked him for money. She called him the best. He caught himself that this woman was only asking him for money. He remembered Chloe. Even though they lived in an old house, their place was always clean. After all, she was clean. The woman did not understand that there was no money. She asked to be told that she was loved, that Joseph loves his Camilla. He touched her hair. He said that he gave her something better than words. I finally asked her to tell me. Camilla started. She was talking about a man who bought his ex, that he was not just a guy with a tight wallet. He was a noble aristocrat. And recently there was a rumor in high society that a commoner of indescribable beauty had become the wife of a noble family. That even the emperor himself approved of that marriage. They said that they had not yet set an exact wedding date. There were also strange rumors, but it was known that that girl was brown-haired with curly hair and mysterious purple eyes. Joseph was incredibly surprised. His emotionless woman now belonged to a famous noble family. He wanted Chloe to suffer. Sold it to amuse myself. I wanted her to be completely finished off. That would make her miss him and suffer even more. Joseph had a plan. He figured out how to hit the jackpot. It is unlikely that the man who bought his woman would want to make her past public. Chloe was the one who cried at his feet for her misdeeds and asked for forgiveness. When he was playing with her, he felt superior. He was older, without education, tired of life. Therefore, he despised his wife even more. She was luckier than him. Because of that incident, Joseph's complex only grew stronger. The worst thing was disappointment in myself. He couldn't accept it. That he sold Chloe to make her feel guilty, to humiliate her even more. This woman was supposed to be inferior to him. The man was going to make a fortune if he stirred up a scandal among the common people and the high nobility. And they will simply be obliged to kick the girl out. Joseph already mentally considered himself rich. After all, aristocrats do not like their blood mixed with the mob. He asked Camilla to find out the details of who has Chloe on his neck these days. He was going to humiliate Chloe in front of everyone. He couldn't imagine that she could climb so high. And if it falls to the very bottom, it will completely break. Betsy was putting the marquise in order. She asked me to be patient a little. There was soon to be a tea party. They wanted to start bringing her out little by little. Chloe understood and appreciated the marquise's concern. But I thought it was too early for her to appear before the general public. She foresaw not the most pleasant things. After all, most people will most likely despise her. After all, she is a commoner who became a marquise. The girl recently accepted that she had become a marquise, and it was all thanks to the efforts of Ash. Count Laveran scolded his daughter in his office. He asked what she had done. Does he understand the consequences? She denied it. She said she didn't do anything wrong. Katerina claimed that she only wanted to teach the overly arrogant girl a lesson. She did not agree that this was done to her. The father explained to his daughter that the commoner had now become a marquise, and that the marriage was concluded and approved by the emperor. He said that she did not listen to his instructions, that she should not have made her angry but behaved like a teacher, that the marquise's position is higher than hers. The father said that he spoke with a lawyer, and he asked why the count wanted to be punished, for humiliation or breaking a trade deal. The marquise remembered every word. Viscount Laverand hoped that Catherine would become close to the Marchioness, and it will benefit his business. But it turned out that now everything has come to an end. Miss Katerina could not understand. Why should you be kind and friendly? After all, Chloe was a commoner. The father tried to explain that Chloe was a marquise, and everything that his daughter said was regarded as a humiliation of the marquise's family. In addition, the Viscount accused his daughter of not teaching the marquise how to behave in society. Katerina was outraged that her father was not protecting her and saying that she was wrong. The Viscount asked his daughter to wake up, that he doesn't protect anyone, but he simply points out her own mistakes. The father told the girl how difficult it was for him to achieve everything, how he worked day and night to keep his family firmly on its feet. The Viscount asked his still young and naive daughter not to be in secular society for now. Instead, he insisted on learning how to behave properly at home. The Marquis said that if this happened again, he would terminate all contracts with the Count concluded with him in the capital. The Viscount told his daughter that he was ready to do anything to maintain his position. He threatened that in order not to go bankrupt, he would have to sell all her dresses and jewelry. Viscount Lavalette could not understand what was wrong with his daughter. With his talent, with great difficulty, he made his way to the capital. He wanted to settle Katerina in order to become closer to the Marquis, perhaps even make friends with him. But his plan was still possible. He read with horror the detailed account of what his daughter had done. The worst thing is that she asked the Marquise to meet the Marquis. She knew what the Marquis was capable of. Why did she behave like that when she was with the Marquise? That she didn't give an account for her actions. The Viscount made a decent fortune, and he spoiled his daughter too much. He thought it was his carelessness that made her so arrogant. Miss Katerina could not control her emotions. She wanted to sort things out with Chloe. The distance between her and the Marquis will soon begin to increase. Isn't it Chloe's fault? The girl harbored a grudge. She decided to take revenge on Chloe at any cost. Chloe asked herself questions. When she and Ash get married, will they still love each other? She understood that there were serious demands on the future heir. And will it be normal that she is an aristocrat of low birth? She was afraid that her child would be treated like a bastard. And most importantly, can she even decide to do this? For Chloe, a relationship is a thing that could only contain pain and fear. These were unpleasant memories. But nevertheless, when Ash hugged her, she felt calm. Who knew maybe they could live happily ever after? During Empire history lessons, Chloe learned a little about the Winnacles. Betsy finished her work. She admired the appearance of her ladyship, the Marquise. She said she looked just great. Chloe thanked the maid. She answered that her beautiful appearance was the fruit of the hands and efforts of Betsy herself. When Betsy learned that the Marquise was heading to the library, she was surprised. She said that among the nobility, one could hardly find a more diligent student than her ladyship. Chloe read about the history of the Vinnacle family. It turned out to be much larger than the girl could have imagined. The girl realized that she was also Marquise Vinnacle. In the morning, the Marquise decided to finish reading the rest of the books at the gazebo in the garden of the estate. Betsy volunteered to help bring her books. The estate looked like a small town. Or was it already the forest surrounding the estate? The girl learned that this family dates back to the very birth of the country. The founder was the emperor's younger brother. Therefore, all family members had imperial blood. He was greater than Chloe could ever imagine. She read in a book that this is a place with a very rich history. Betsy confirmed this. She said that there were many who would like to work for his lordship, that many talented people worked with the Marquis, and one of them was invited by the emperor himself. That this continues to this day. That Alicia's personal maid was invited to work in the emperor's palace. She was allowed to retain her previous position, but she declined the invitation. She said that she loves her current job too much, and she feels good at the Marquis. From what she read, Chloe also learned that only members of the lesser nobility worked for the royal family. She wondered if it was the same at the Marquis's estate. Betsy said it's different here, that she's just a commoner, and almost everyone who works on the estate is commoners. The girl knew from what she had read that the younger nobility used to be appointed to the role of maids and butlers. She wondered when this all changed. Betsy said that the Marquis greeted all employees when he met, that among the court officials there are also those who came from commoners, but became a nobleman. Chloe looked at the castle windows. One of them was a room into which it was forbidden to enter. Ash walked over quietly. He looked for her in the library. And I was surprised what she was doing here in front of the castle windows. Chloe was surprised that the Marquise came so early today. They often spent time together, and we talked as often as possible. But since the Marquis was almost always busy, it was rare to meet him in the morning. On the day when Katerina came, he also came early. She wondered if it was an accident. Ash wanted to tell Chloe something. He said he missed her too, and he suggested we go for a walk. Their fingers intertwined. The girl was surprised by the beauty around her. Ash told her that he also liked this place, and when he was little, he would often run away here just to sit, think, or calm down. The Marquis said that he did not want to run far. He hoped that someone would find him, and in the nearby garden the maid quickly found him. Therefore he often chose this place. He recalled that when he hid, his mother always found him. People thought that this was not the right thing to do. Now for him this place is associated with memories. Our heroine thought. After all, when this man was a child, his facial features should have been softer and his eyes larger. She remembered that child. She remembered the little girl who lived next to her. Unforgettable memories were associated with her. One day the girl suddenly disappeared. The girl's parents were seriously upset. Chloe didn't know why they lived together or why the girl disappeared. One sunny morning the girl was brought home. They and Chloe were given a bath. But could she be a Marquise? Our heroine imagined Ash as a boy. He must have been a very handsome boy. Ash asked her to wait a little and stand still. He knelt in front of her. The Marquis proposed marriage to her. She was surprised. After all, they were already married. He took her hand. He said that it was formally on paper, but he did not formally propose to her. Ash said that her appearance in his life was quite important, and he wants Chloe to sincerely choose him as her life partner. The girl thought that after her experience, her heart was forever closed to love. But she wanted to give these feelings another chance. Chloe believed that Ash was worthy. After all, he said that she was everything to him. Propose to her. The girl asked the Marquis, and if she wants to leave here, he can let her go? He replied that as she wished. Chloe realized that this man had agreed to let her go today, but it didn't look like he would ever want what he promised today. She was afraid that if she decided to leave, he would chase her. The girl was afraid that this was not just a trick of the imagination. After all, she had already suffered from this in the past. Nevertheless, Chloe agreed to be his wife. The Marquis asked her permission to put a ring on her, and she agreed. He asked him to forgive him for only now proposing to her. The girl was surprised that the ring was the right time for her. It fit on my finger like a glove. Ash told Chloe that the Vinicles used this ring for their engagement. It was passed down from generation to generation. The ring was made of a special metal. It interacted with body temperature, and it itself adjusted to the size of the owner's finger. Ash said that this ring now belongs to Chloe. She must wear it all the time now. The Marquis said that he had long planned to hold a marriage ceremony, and he asked his Marquise for consent to this. She didn't mind. Ash said that if Chloe doesn't like this idea, then everything can be done modestly, only in a narrow circle. The man could not understand what was wrong with Chloe. Meanwhile, she was thinking that, in the end, she had always wanted such an outcome to their relationship, and she didn't dream about it. Our heroine never dreamed of this. She didn't want to miss the opportunity. I wanted to stretch the moment out longer. She wanted so much to be happy, and Ash, he wanted to make Chloe happy. He said that she was his favorite, so that she accepts his gift. She asked herself why the Marquis was so kind to her. Was it because of her appearance? Or did he feel sorry for her? Or did you feel some kind of responsibility? The Marquis was surprised that this was exactly what Chloe was thinking about now. He said that he liked her beauty, but that was not all. He understood her situation and also fulfilled his obligations. But there was something more. The Marquis said that he knew her heart, and he understood the value of her feelings. He spoke words of love, that he loves her more than anything in the world. Chloe was surprised. So that means the Marquis loves her? Is this the reason? He said that if she needed a reason, she could add up everything he had named. After all, no one can explain what love is. Ash said he loved her because she was her, because she is his favorite. Chloe has been burned many times, but I wanted to believe that this was love. After all, when someone told her that they loved her with all their heart, it could go a long way. The girl couldn't understand it. Why do all the words of the Marquis and his actions make her happy? Why did she decide to believe him? She cried. Ash asked where his Marquis wanted to go before the ceremony. He thought that she was tired of wandering around the estate. Chloe said she wanted to go to the Winzella Children's Home. She used to live there. She wanted to accept the past so she could have a future. After all, the past that she denied still existed. But now she was ready to accept him. She was loved. Chloe wanted to understand why it was so difficult to trust people. Maybe when she cut herself off from everything, she was trying to escape? In order for the girl to move on, she needed to face reality. That night, Chloe had a nightmare. Hearty food and a sense of security gave her good, dreamless sleep for a long time. After her marriage to Joseph, she was haunted by nightmares night and day. They always tormented her. When she was locked up at home, she most often just sewed. She endured her husband's insults. He said that Chloe should be proud that he took her as his wife. She considered what her husband said was nonsense. She was angry and in denial. And when she contradicted, she received beatings and mockery in response. That's why Chloe was afraid of the night. When she was left alone, it seemed to her that the nightmare would consume her. She wondered what kind of feeling was bothering her so much. She stood up and walked out into the castle corridor. She thought that there was no suitable place for her in this estate. Chloe wanted to be in the outside world. Somewhere. Just not in your room. She wanted to know what secret Ash Vinical kept behind the locked forbidden door. Although she almost succumbed to his words, she could not open her heart so easily after so many wounds. But besides the kind words, Ash also treated Chloe kindly. He punished people who offended her. He confessed his love and proposed. She opens the forbidden door. If he loves, he will definitely forgive her. Is his love real? She couldn't make up her mind. Doubts, curiosity, fear. She wondered if she should ask Ash for permission. The girl remembered that before gratitude, she felt suspicion. The girl realized that something was broken in her. After all, she had never doubted or tried to believe in the feelings of others before. So far, many bad things haven't happened to her. At home, Chloe already understood that she had had enough now, and you could plunge headlong into happiness. But her heart did not allow everything to be forgotten so easily. Continued to tell herself that she could be happy now. Her heart said otherwise. Ash saw that Chloe wanted to open the door. He wants and hesitates. What will she do when she finds out everything? Will he be surprised? Will he be afraid? Will he begin to despise him? The man was sure that this would not end well, but he was ready to respect her choice. Everything else wasn't that important. Chloe felt that after all the terrible events in her life, she should behave more carefully and respect the promises of others. Our heroine has not changed, although the terrible past left a deep wound in her heart. But it could not change her good nature. Ash considered himself lucky, although he at the same time felt sorry for the girl. He was thinking, what should he do to fill her heart with happiness and love? The Marquis called out to Chloe. The girl was scared. After all, she could not understand how long he had been here. Did he see her doubts in front of the door? Ash asked why she couldn't sleep. Ash asked how often she has nightmares. She replied that it was rare. He was worried that it might harm her, reminded her of her promise to be examined by a doctor. Chloe asked why he woke up. Ash replied that he was an owl, and his sleep is not sound. Chloe didn't know about this. He said that when a lover appears, it is difficult to fall asleep without his affection. Moreover, the Marquis never shared a bed with anyone. Chloe made a promise to herself that one day she would fulfill her part of the marital duty. She wondered how important descendants were for a noble family. Ash asked the girl to relax her hand, and she did it unconsciously. He said that everything he does with her has nothing to do with procreation. The Marquis assured Chloe that if she did not want to give birth, then she could simply take the child from the orphanage. There is no need to force yourself to do what you don't want. He said that she is the one he loves and respects, so he asked her to just be there, and that would be enough for him. Ash asked Chloe not to hide her regrets and fatigue. It doesn't matter that it's personal and painful. He asked me to simply share everything with him. He promised to always support her. He argued that if she was not ready, then she could just postpone everything. Chloe was surprised by this statement from the Marquis. The Marquis said that she was very important to him, that she can't even imagine how much he loves her and values her. The girl was surprised that after Ash's words she felt better. He called her to go to bed already, and he promised that he would sit with her if she was scared until she fell asleep. All of Chloe's worries disappeared, as if they had never existed. She agreed for him to sit next to her. The maid asked if it was true that her mistress and his lordship were going to an orphanage today. Chloe confirmed. Betsy racked her brains about the purpose of the Marquise's visit to the orphanage. She knew that it was common for nobles to show their generosity to the people. But this was the first place we visited together. Chloe dispelled the maid's doubts. She replied that she used to work there. And Betsy realized that Chloe had some memories associated with that place. These could be good memories or bad ones. The maid shouldn't have cared. Now her job was to make the mistress as beautiful as possible. Chloe remembered the manager. Although she squeezed all the juices out of the girl, she never left her hungry. And this meant that she was not the worst person. She was rarely paid for her work, but the money was spent on Stephen's treatment. The manager in tears asked to think about the poor sick child. That's why she agreed not to receive full payment. Chloe wanted to deal with the past so she could move on. She wanted to understand. The manager was weird or was just using Chloe. An authoritative voice asked if the cleaning had been completed by the time the Marquis of Vinical arrived. A thin female voice answered in the affirmative. The manager really hoped that the Marquis would arrive with the goal of donating a tidy sum of money to the shelter. And of course, his retinue will come with him. She was delighted with the beauty of the Marquis. Meanwhile, the Marquis helped Chloe get out of the carriage. The manager noticed the Marquise's admiring glance, and then the manager recognized the girl who had gotten out of the carriage with the Marquis. She could not understand what Chloe was doing here. And why is she together with the Marquis? This simply could not happen. The manager knew about Chloe's background, and she understood that she could become a mistress, but not the wife of the Marquis. This girl must just look like that one. The Marquise greeted the manager by name. She said that they had not seen each other for a long time. The manager Doria was simply horrified. The Marquise was actually the same Chloe. This simply couldn't happen. She couldn't believe her eyes and ears. Doria's face broke into a smile of recognition. She feigned surprise, greeted the girl by name. She clarified that she is now a Marquise. The manager complimented Chloe. She said that she had not seen each other for a long time, which looks great. Then, 10 years ago, the manager seemed so mature to the girl. The girl hoped that she, with life experience and wisdom, would take care of her, the little girl. But it was Chloe who had to take care of other children at night, and about everything else at the shelter. Chloe saw the light. This woman was and remains a hypocrite. The manager said one thing and did something completely different. Doria asked the Marchioness to tell her what happened to Joseph. The girl said that he sold her at auction to the Marquis. Ash confirmed what Chloe had said earlier, and he added that now he has a wonderful wife. Doria continued to lavish compliments on the Marquise. Praise her Marquise. She said that the girl was still a beauty, that she looks like a princess from a fairy tale. Chloe saw another girl. I recognized her. She called out by name. It was Irene. They knew each other for a long time, from the time when the girl worked here. The Marquise asked the girl about her fate. That manager offered Chloe a place and she agreed to work here. Irene spoke the same words that were once put into Chloe's ears, about dangerous men and all that. But our heroine knew that there were both good and evil people. The girl asked Chloe how she was doing. Then she apologized and said that she still had a lot of work to do, laundry. The manager said that Irene has a sensual and vulnerable soul, and so she decided to leave the girl to work here at the shelter. Chloe wanted to talk to Irene alone. Doria replied that the girl was quite shy, so she might not agree, but she promised to ask her. The Marquis promised to offer a donation next time if today's was not enough. He asked to fulfill his wife's request. Chloe asked Irene how old she was, and why didn't she start looking for a job in the city like the rest of the orphanage's children? The girl replied that she did not know how to behave there, and that men scare her. She recalled that the girl used to get out into the city without any problems. Irene replied that Chloe also knew that not all people are kind, and the manager said that it would be better for Irene. The Marquise recalled that Irene used to let her hair down, but she replied that it was better to dress more simply and not attract much attention. It turned out that not a single Chloe Doria destroyed self-confidence. She nevertheless revealed to the manager who she really was. The girl did not know what kind of feelings she was experiencing. Maybe delayed realization or anger, or maybe sadness. The Marquise asked Irene about Stephen's fate. After all, Doria promised to use the money unpaid to her and received from Joseph for the treatment of the boy. Irene said that Stephen died after Chloe left, It turned out that her sacrifice did not save the boy then, that even after the operation he died. Irene said that no one performed the operation. Then the manager said that time was lost, and the doctor simply prescribed painkillers to make death easier. The girl said that this was the best outcome. The Marquise was amazed why the child was not operated on. Chloe remembered very well what the doctor said, that the operation is difficult, but it will help the boy survive. Several doctors were needed. That's why it was so expensive. The Marquise then tried to understand. Where did all her money go, since the operation was never performed? Doria promised Irene that if she continued to work at the shelter, she would find a good husband. Just like Chloe for some reason, Manager Irene spoke exactly as Chloe once did, that the world is full of dangerous men, and she should protect beautiful girls like her. Irene asked if Chloe really married a wonderful husband. Chloe answered in the negative. Doria didn't choose the one Chloe came with today. Chloe now knew what she had to do, but she needed evidence to confirm her suspicions. She should have intervened, but she had no idea how to investigate this case. But the girl knew that she now had someone who could help her. Marquis Ash Vinical. The previous Chloe would have been afraid to ask this, but it was too important for her. She needed to get over herself, deal with dysfunctional relationships. She needed to make room in her heart for the people who cared about her, and she turned to the Marquis with a request. Chloe asked the Marquis to help her in the investigation. She wanted to know what was going on in Winzella's nursery. He clarified what exactly interests her. Is there any theft or fraud going on there? Or something else illegal? Chloe was extremely surprised. After all, she showed no hostility towards Doria. How could Ash assume that he needed to look for something bad? Maybe he often encounters such things. The girl asked the Marquis how often he encountered something like this, and how familiar he is with this kind of investigation. Ash briefly confirmed his competence in this matter, but he was not yet ready to tell his Marquis what he had done to be in his current status. The people who tore what rightfully belonged to the Marquis received what they deserved. But the time has not yet come to tell Chloe about this. Whenever Ash was in trouble or in pain, he thought about Chloe. She was the embodiment of warmth and his first love. He bitterly regretted that he could not find Chloe earlier. He reproached himself that she had to go through all those misfortunes. The Marquis remembered her still laughing and beaming. She was a ray of light in his life. And if she changed, that didn't mean his feelings for her had changed.